While Pinyan mumbles something incoherent, Ramzan Kadyrov drops a bombshell. His main goal is the complete capture of Ukraine. Kadyrovites against Ramzan. A rebellion is brewing in the Akhmat unit, the one closest to the Chechen Sultan himself. Erdogan and Pashinyan danced on the grave of Putler's geopolitical ambitions. Civil war in the USA. Instead of Russia and China, Donald Trump has started threatening his own state of Illinois. Everything secret becomes known. Xi Jinping is furious over the leak of the conversation about immortality. What punishment awaits the guilty? Both the Toastmaster is lame and the contest is totally cringe. Putin is preparing his own cringe-worthy response to Eurovision. It's worth waiting for. Hello everyone, my name is Fedor Shulenko. Now we're going to discuss all the most important and resonant topics, what people are talking about in the world, in Ukraine, and of course, beyond the edge of civilization, everything that's trending. Let's go! While Pinyan mumbles something incoherent about the goals in the war he started in Ukraine, his narrow-minded junior Chechen foot soldier has spilled the truth. The Chechen mummy has openly outlined the main objective of the occupiers, to seize all of Ukraine. The dying Sultan demands that the bloody feast continue. He's clearly afraid to leave this world alone. And just like Putin, he wants to drag as many people as possible with him to the other side. Kadyrov has regained his strength, or maybe the doctors have pumped him full of horse-sized doses of medication again, and Ramzanka has once more appeared before the public, this time to unexpectedly speak the truth that his Kremlin boss cowardly keeps silent about. The head of Chechnya didn't bother muddying the waters with talk of peace negotiations, but instead openly spoke in favor of continuing the war. In Dondan's opinion, the special military operation can only end after the complete capture of Ukraine.
Personally, I am not in favor of stopping hostilities given the current situation in the zone. I believe that it is not in our interest to cease hostilities right now. The goals and objectives of the special military operation were not just pulled out of thin air. This is a guarantee of security for our entire country. Peace on our borders is only possible when Ukraine becomes a region or district of Russia.
Over 1 million dead and wounded Russians don't bother Ramzanka. Like those ancient Egyptian pharaohs, he tries to bury as many servants and soldiers with himself as possible. Perhaps he hopes that in hell he won't be so lonely. But there's one thing Dondan didn't take into account. Even his most loyal servants would rather stoke the fire under his cauldron together with the devils. The Kadyrovites despise their master, Ramzan Kadyrov. Just recently, fighters from the National Police Brigade, Liut, captured a Kadyrovite from Akhmat. During the interrogation, he spoke quite frankly about the real state of affairs in Akhmat, its weaknesses, and the average Kadyrovite's attitude toward their sultan.
Akhmat is not cool at all. All orders come from above. They come from Kadyrov himself. That main shaitan, he's a bastard. They're truly terrible, despicable people. Despicable bastards. All of his numerous and utterly devoted whores, they meticulously do whatever they are explicitly told, just to line their own greedy pockets and to make absolutely certain they are exceedingly comfortable and well provided for. That's the commander of the Sever regiment. Akhmat is just Kadyrov's bitch. It's all by Kadyrov's orders. He can't do anything on his own. In fact, no one there can even lift a finger without Kadyrov's orders.
The Kadyrovites hate Russians just as much, and the feeling is mutual. At first, the Ukrainian fighters managed to capture 2 Kadyrovites at once. But during the retreat, a Russian FPV drone crew blew up the second Akhmat fighter. But most importantly, despite Ramzan the Mankurt, who sold out to the bunker moth, most of the Kadyrovites remember the crimes committed by Moscow during the Chechen War. They remember and want revenge.
He got a lot of guys killed. It was on Kadyrov's orders. He can't do anything on his own. In fact, no one there can even lift a finger without Kadyrov's orders. Not even the head of the district police, no one. The main shaitan gives the orders from there, and these other shaitans, they're all afraid of losing their power. If you do even the slightest thing wrong, they get rid of you immediately. These are the Russian bastards today. During the war in '95, my grandfather, they locked the basement from above. There were women there, there were children. They locked it from above, threw something inside and burned everyone alive.
And what do you think about this revelation from Ramzan's servant? Share your thoughts in the comments and be sure to tell us where you're watching from and whether many of your fellow countrymen support the Ukrainian people in their fight against the Russian occupiers. A new day brings new drone sanctions against the Russian oil industry. For the first time this sanction season, the Ilsky oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai was hit. This major enterprise processes 6.4 million tons of oil annually. Part of it goes to supply the occupiers' army. According to Forbes, strikes on Russian oil refineries have led to another spike in gasoline prices, which cannot be overcome simply by increasing fuel production. Meanwhile, Kremlin media report that the shortage of AI-95 gasoline has reached even the relatively prosperous Moscow and Saratov. The situation has led to the complete absence of this type of fuel at a number of gas stations. Not to mention the god-forsaken and bunker-villain-forgotten occupied territories, particularly the Luhansk region. One of the Z military correspondents, Evgeny Goldman, openly advises locals to forget about cars and start walking, since it's easier to fill your lungs with the Russian spirit that way.
I'd like to warn everyone heading to the Luhansk Republic, there are problems with gasoline. Ordinary people can't buy it at gas stations. Everything is distributed by vouchers for government employees. That's how things are, guys. And the gasoline.
82 rubles. And there's no point even talking about the rest.
Locals are also frustrated that they can't get fuel, turning the search for it into a real quest. By the way, the situation in Donetsk isn't any better. On top of water problems, they're now facing fuel shortages as well.
So now basically we're on the hunt for gasoline again, guys and girls, because this artificial panic over fuel is starting up once more. The thing is, they deliver 10 tons of gasoline to each gas station every day, to every single one. We don't live in such a small town that we only have 2 gas stations. We have at least 15 gas stations, maybe even more, you know? But people still snatch up all the gasoline because they fill up their tanks, fill up canisters, you know, for their friends and relatives. And then they start reselling the gas for 110 rubles, you get it? Because if there's even a tiny bit of money to be made, of course we're going to do it, you know? I came after work to fill up my car and I got nothing, you know? There's no gasoline, you see? Because all sorts of gypsies have shown up. Oh, you fools! That's it, there's no gas left.
Friendship is no obstacle to sanctions. In addition to the oil refinery, on the night of September 7th, units of the Ukrainian armed forces, missile troops, artillery, and unmanned systems struck the linear production dispatching station of the Druzhba oil pipeline in the Bryansk region. The Ukrainian General Staff has also reported successful and effective strikes on various locations of Russian military personnel and critical fuel and lubricants depots within the Kursk region. The decisive push and the battle for Donbas. Ukrainian soldiers from the 7th Air Assault Corps, whose area of responsibility includes the Pokrovsk direction, report that the occupiers are bringing in their most experienced and combat-ready marine units to Pokrovsk. According to information from the paratroopers, Russia is amassing its forces in Donetsk region in order to soon attempt a decisive breakthrough using a large number of personnel and equipment. The main target of the occupiers is the Pokrovsk, Kramatorsk, and Sloviansk agglomeration. The Ukrainian military is aware of the enemy's plans, is preparing and is adapting its tactics. According to Commander-in-Chief Syrsky, in just the past week, the armed forces of Ukraine have repelled about 350 enemy attacks in the Pokrovsk direction. A strike against the Ukrainian government. At night, Russian terrorists launched another massive bombardment of Ukraine. A record one. A total of 818 aerial attack weapons were launched, including 9 Iskander cruise missiles and 4 ballistic missiles. Kyiv, Kryvyi Rih, Dnipro and Kremenchuk, as well as Odessa, came under fire. Unfortunately, there are dead and wounded. In the Ukrainian capital, one of the strikes hit a residential building. The terrorists killed a young 32-year-old woman and her 2-month-old son. The man who lost his family is now in serious condition in the hospital. Also, for the first time since the start of the full-scale invasion, the Russians struck the government of Ukraine. The cabinet of ministers building was damaged. The fire is being extinguished with the help of special equipment. Putin, come to Kyiv! In response to the absurd proposal from the bunker terrorists to the president of Ukraine about holding talks in Moscow, Volodymyr Zelensky suggested that Putin fulfill his wet dream and come to Kyiv.
He can come to Kyiv. You know, if a person doesn't want to meet during a war, of course, he'll propose something unacceptable. I can't go to Moscow when my country is under missile attacks every day. I can't go to the capital of this terrorist when my country is under daily missile strikes under attack. That's obvious, and he understands that. It's the same kind of proposal as the one I made, that he should come to Kyiv.
Earlier, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry stated that at least 7 neutral countries had expressed their willingness to host and ensure the security of a meeting between the Ukrainian president and the Russian dictator. But Putin is not interested in ending the war or in real negotiations. That's why he keeps spinning his delusional tune about negotiations in Moscow. Everything hidden eventually comes to light. Xi Jinping is furious. The Chinese panda is displeased because of a leaked conversation with Putin, in which they discuss and fantasize about immortality through organ transplants. The video was distributed by Reuters. However, the Chinese state television channel CCTV, which held the rights to broadcast the parade, demanded the video be taken down, claiming it distorted the facts. The agency emphasizes that there was no distortion or inaccuracies, but nevertheless, the recording had to be removed due to copyright issues. Apparently, the leader of China hasn't heard of the Streisand effect. That's when an attempt to remove certain information from public access or censor, it only leads to its wider dissemination. Well then, let's show Xi how this works. Your likes and comments should help spread the video so that as many people as possible learn the terrible secret of dictators.
They were fooled. Just blatantly deceived.
Civil war in the USA. Donald Trump has lost his mind. If anyone thought that after renaming the Pentagon to the Ministry of War, Agent Krasnov would get bolder and start threatening the dictators from the axis of evil, well, not at all. The first people the US president decided to threaten with war were Americans from the American state of Illinois.
I love the smell of deportation in the morning. Chicago will soon feel for itself what the name Ministry of War really means.
Trump's threats were met with a response from a consistent Trump opponent, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
The President of the United States is threatening to start a war with an American city. This is not a joke, this is not normal. Donald Trump is not a strong man, he is a cowardly man. Illinois will not be intimidated by a self-proclaimed dictator.
Chicago residents also took Trump's threat quite seriously. Local authorities disarmed the regional army and banned the immigration service from deporting migrants. Hundreds of people took to the streets. They are blocking roads and disrupting police operations. Erdogan and Pashinyan's dance on the geopolitical ambitions of Butler. Turkey and Armenia have agreed to hold their first meeting since 1993 at the delegation level to discuss opening the border between the two countries. The border was closed after Armenia occupied the Kalbajar district of Azerbaijan in 1993. Now, after the Kremlin's position in the Caucasus region has been nullified, Armenia and Turkey have set a course toward normalizing bilateral relations. Next week, a Turkish delegation led by Erdogan's special representative, Serdar Kilic, will visit the Alakan border checkpoint and travel to Armenia. You can never have too many nuclear weapons, thought the Brazilians, and decided that in the future, this South American country could use its own nuclear umbrella. Brazil's Minister of Energy, Alexandre Silveira, stated that given the way the situation in the world is developing now, in the long term, Brazil will inevitably acquire nuclear weapons.
We are witnessing very serious international upheavals in the world, especially recently. Brazil is a gigantic country that possesses 11% of the world's freshwater reserves, with a tropical climate, fertile soil, and vast mineral wealth. In the future, we will also need nuclear technologies for national defense.
And the host is terrible, and the contest is just embarrassing. Instead of real fans from abroad, there are extras dressed up as foreigners. This is exactly how Russia is preparing to host the Intervision 2025 contest. The Telegram channel Ostrozhno Novosti reported that during the show's dress rehearsal, the organizers set up a costume room right at the entrance to the live arena. Here, extras are given national costumes and flags of the participating countries, and each guest is carefully selected to fit a specific type. One man, for example, was turned into an Arab sheikh. The actors are required to show emotion, to be even more enthusiastic than Eurovision viewers. For this work, the extras are promised a payment of 6,000 rubles. The Intervision Song Contest was held from 1965 to 1980 as an alternative to the European Eurovision. Its revival became a personal initiative of the bunker-bound senile after Russia was expelled from Eurovision due to the war it started. Intervision will take place on September 20th in the Moscow region. Representatives from 23 countries have applied to participate, mostly from the CIS and BRICS. And representing the Russian Federation will be, who do you think? Shaman. So, who do you think will win? Vanga, Yaroslav Dronov, or the Chinese contestant? And finally, a bit about the respect Russian authorities have for their cannon fodder, that is, the brave heroes of the war. In Yakutsk, tractors drove over the graves of fallen occupiers at the local Magan cemetery. When relatives expressed outrage, the authorities responded brilliantly, saying there was neither a mistake nor an accident. The graves were leveled because an alley of glory is planned to be built in their place.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.